Welcome back to Fuzz MMS. Today we're going to be talking about groups and companies, and they are found under contact management, and we're going to go and talk about companies first. So companies inside of Fuzz MMS are quite simple. To create a new company, we click the create button, and we can just assign a company name like IBM. We can add other information too, like the city or a state, and this can be useful for filtering when we get to groups. So once I create a company and save it, that company is now going to be available to me in my contacts. So if I go to my contacts and I pick one and go in and edit them, in the drop list for company, I've got a couple of companies here. I've got the IBM company that I just created, and I've also got B-Scada as a company. So there's two different companies now that are available to me. So that's all we need to know about companies for the moment. Next, we're going to move into groups. And groups are important because groups are how we assemble our contacts in a logical fashion in order to send templated messages with a campaign or to send surveys. So we're going to create a new group, and we're going to look at a couple of different ways that we can filter our groups. So I'm just going to call this test group for the moment, and I'm going to add a filter. So right now the group type is contact. So I could group my contacts based off of state. So any state that equals Florida, for example, would be my filter. And this is going to get anybody in my contact list that lives in the state of Florida. I could also add a second filter and also go by state and say for any contact that is in the state of Georgia. So we have two filters here. So filters can be and or'd together. So I can say that I'm looking for any contacts that are in the state of Florida and Georgia. That would make no sense, right? What I want is any contacts that are in the state of Florida or Georgia. So where is a case that I would want to use and? I could say, well, I want any contact that's in the state of Florida and any contact whose email address contains @ibm.com. So here's a good situation for an and. So what this would give me is this would give me anybody in my contact list that works for IBM or that has an IBM email address and is in the state of Florida. So if I'm only looking for people that work for IBM, there's a couple of different ways that I could do it. I could say anybody that has an email address that contains @ibm.com. I could create a group based off of that. Or I could change my group type to company and create a filter where the company name equals IBM. So this is a second way that I could create a filter based off of company. So we can also create filters based off of custom fields. So I'm going to go into account settings, and I'm going to create a new custom field. I've got a couple of in here already. I'm going to create one this time for a company, and the custom field is going to be is Fortune 500, and the value type is going to be a bool, and the default value is going to be false. And I will save that. And I'm going to go back to my companies now. So I've gone back to my companies. I can take B-Scada here, which is a smaller company, and if I take a look at it, I now have a custom field is Fortune 500 for this company with the default value false. I can go to my IBM company, and I can say is Fortune 500, and I can change this to true because IBM is a Fortune 500 company. So with my groups, let's say I wanted to create a group. So I'm going to click create, and I want to create a group where I'm going to send an email off to anybody in my contact list that belongs to a Fortune 500 company. So I can set up a group name of Fortune 500. My group type is company, and my filter would be filtered off of is Fortune 500 equals true. So this would give me all the contacts on my contact list that have been assigned to a company where we've just defined that company as being a Fortune 500. If I wanted to get more granular, I could say that I'm only interested in emailing Fortune 500 companies where the contact or the company is in the state of Florida. So this is going to, and this is an and, it's not an or, right? We don't want an or in this case. We want everybody that's a Fortune 500 company and is in the state of Florida. If we selected or, we would be getting any Fortune 500 company and any company that is in the state of Florida. Big difference. We're only interested in Fortune 500s in the state of Florida for this this particular group. So, we showed how groups can be based off of a contact or a company. Groups can also be made up of other groups, right? So I could have a group that's all the companies in Florida, and a group that's all of the companies in Georgia, and a group that's all of the companies in South Carolina. I could create a new group called Southwest, and I can include groups Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina into the Southwest group. So it would be a group made up of groups in that case. So we can do those types of things as well. So I'm going to save this Fortune 500 group. And as we know, when we are creating campaigns, we want to set up a message template, a communication channel, and then we configure the campaign that we're interested in sending messages off for. So I could create a new campaign. I can select my channel and the message template that I'm interested in sending out to the clients, and I can click add group, and now I've got my Fortune 500 group that I can send these messages to. And I could call this template test campaign for Fortune 500 companies. Okay, so that's an introduction into groups and how groups are used within Fuzz. Remember, we don't add contacts into groups. A group is a filter, and filters are more powerful than adding and removing people constantly from different groups and trying to move them around. And the good thing too about groups is as we add more contacts into our system, they automatically get picked up by this filter. If I add 10 new people to my contact list tomorrow that work for IBM, and I do a broadcast, send out a campaign to all of the Fortune 500 companies, those 10 new people that work for IBM will get that message. I did not have to go in to contacts and explicitly add those people into the system. They're there. They're part of the group. They're part of the group filter. That's all for now. Look forward to talking with you again soon and doing some more videos for you. I hope you have a great day. Bye.